Hey, everybody. Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. I got some models wrapped up in my mic cord here. One sec. Made a big mess this morning. Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be hanging out and chatting about the next, I guess, Warhammer Fest day. Let me just pull that up here. I'll get that all set up for us on my end. But I just wanted to start off a little bit early ahead of time to make sure all the sound and everything worked and chat about what we are excited for. Let's see, the Twitch page is booting up. Okay, let me adjust the volume so we're not blasting eardrums. All right, so there we is. Hey, everybody. Let me go ahead and get the chat where I can see it. So today, if you didn't know, Warhammer Fest, they are doing a set of reveals for each day. And so Monday, I was online. We talked about the Age of Sigmar stuff. And then they had a 40k day, which highlighted how much 40k players don't like 40k. And then we had a Black Library day where it was all 40k books. Give me just a second here. YouTube's saying it's not getting enough data, which does not make a bit of sense. All right. I'm just making sure everything's working on the stream. For some reason, it's being a little strange. There we go. I'm gonna turn the quality down on the Twitch stream. Maybe it's flexing my internet a bit much more. But yeah, today's gonna be boxed games, and what that means, Games Workshop kind of changes what they mean by boxed games every once in a while, because they used to call them specialist games, where it was, things like Warcry, Adeptus Titanicus, that kind of stuff. But they kind of dropped that name in favor of boxed games, so it gets a little bit confusing. So basically how I'm going to hopefully sum up today is everything that's not 40k or AOS. How about that? I think that's probably a pretty fair way to look at it. Let's see, Necromunda, The Hobbit, and Blood Bowl. Yeah, I'd love to see more about the Blood Bowl they have coming, just because they've announced some like smaller, more streamlined formats. I apologize here, I'm looking away from the mic when I'm talking. That's a dumb idea. I'm actually putting the last little tidbits down here. You can see on my chaboys that we were painting yesterday on my live stream. And it just seems like a good way to waste time until the stream's ready. The second they tune on, I promise I'll go back to the upward cam. But just picking out the last little bits of detail on some of these dudes. So I can, waste my time posting them all over social media. As us wargamers are wont to do. And I'm just going to get the stitching on this guy. Just a few bits of it. Let me ask the group this. What are you hoping to see? For me, I don't have a lot of desires out of the box games. I'm trying to think if I have anything in particular that I'm anxious to see. For me, anything Warcry, honestly. I just want them to acknowledge they haven't want them to acknowledge the system. How about that? Like, just kind of give me something so I can try to get people locally rallied up for it. That would be really nice. I have so much stuff for it. But yeah. So that's my wish. I want anything Warcry. Beyond that, what would I want? Anything, I mean, any kind of Underworld starter products. I guess here's the real question. How much do we think we are going to see that we have already seen? That seems to be a reoccurring theme for this particular Warhammer Fest. So I'm going to say they're going to bring up the Blood Bowl book that's coming out that they've already kind of teased, but maybe throw some more details on there. The guys over at Rerolling One, specifically Shu, is really tempting me to get into Titanicus. And there are some guys locally who have brought up getting into it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what other kind of dark and foreboding pits of money I can fall into when it comes to all these different side games that they have. But yeah, let's see. I'm gonna collapse the chat, get that out of the way. Idoneth, that's why you're here. Oh, that's right, the Idoneth Underworld warband, right? I forgot about that. Yeah, right on. I mean, honestly, I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but like, I'm not somebody who like keeps up on news every single day, like as far as where things are. I feel like as the casual viewer of what they have coming out next for their future products, my brain is all backed up because I forgot about the Idoneth coming out. I mean, that we assume they're Idoneth for the warband, because they backed up all their releases. So I was like, okay, my brain kind of like put that off in the back burner. But it's true, like. Brent, GW's biggest issue is onboarding. It's so confusing. Anything to get people into the game and IP in a simple way is always welcome. I actually super agree with you, which is honestly kind of why I've fallen in love with Conquest. It's the easiest game to get into in the world, which is like, it shouldn't be hard, you know? I just feel that way. I feel like it shouldn't be hard to get into your product, and yeah. In case you're curious, the way that they do it for this is all the starter set come with 2 complete rule books printed in there. One is for the mass army battle game, and the second is for a skirmish variant. And I say skirmish lightly. It's like 20 to 30 models where you use the round bases instead of the rank and flank. But they're 2 completely different rule sets that are balanced separately. You just use the same models. I'm like, that is literally the best. Like, you buy this product and you're like, I can literally play a game with it, period. Also, if I buy more, I can play this mass army game. Like, this shouldn't be that hard. A new Dread Fleet. So I'm trying to get into the idea of naval games with Dystopian Wars, which I did some videos on, and I'm going to do some more because I'm very interested in it. Because I like the setting. It's the same setting as Wild West Exodus. I love it. I love the alternate weird history with, like, I don't know, Lovecraftian horror kind of built in. So there's that. But just in painting those models, trying to like wrap my head around like the different scale of things, of like, this model that's this big represents this massive warship filled with hundreds of people. It was just kind of it's different compared to the, you know, the one-to-one infantry rank and flank stuff that I normally do. Is Aeronautica still an ongoing concern for GW? I don't know. Like, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there is a digital version of it, like on Steam. And I would play that. Like, I like the idea of Aeronautica. I actually really do. It just, I couldn't ever find, in Seattle and here, I could not find anyone who was interested in it, to the point where it was just like, people were interested, but just for the models. Like, I just want to paint this craft. I don't want to actually play the game. Like, well, okay. I mean, seems like you own a lot of the same ship to be not playing it, but that's just my opinion. Oh, Brent's in the chat. What up? Had a buddy ask me this morning if Battlefield Gothic is coming back. We will see. That's a game that people love. Man, I mean, there's been a little bit of a resurgence, at least that I've noticed, with ship combat games. You know, between Star Wars Armada, X-Wing, obviously, the Air Fleet game we just talked about, Imperialis. What else was there? Dystopian Wars. There's a few Dropship Commander, Drop Fleet Commander, something like that. There's a bunch of those. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, started at least a starter set so they can kind of dip their toe into it. How hard is it to start Warcry? I just finished my first 5 games of Age of Sigmar. I'm thinking on starting some skirmish games. So if you already have some AOS models, all you need to do to start Warcry is you have to get a core rulebook for them, and the army book there's basically an army book for each Grand Alliance. So like say you play Stormcast, you would get the Scions of Order, I think it's called, and that has all the rules for your faction in there, and the other options you can ally in and that kind of stuff. So it has a ton of stuff. It has missions and campaigns in there, aside from like a few other minor things. Other stuff you can find for free online, to be honest with you. Like I don't really care for the actual core card deck that they have out right now, because some of the missions in there are kind of wonky. But the newer ones that have come out with the their equivalent of the General's Compendium, what do they call it? The Tome of Champions, are actually really, really good missions in there. Warcry is the best GW game and the easiest to get into. Go for it. It really, honestly, in terms of the most welcoming products, it is, but they don't promote it that way, which is such a weird thing. I feel like they promote it as an afterthought of like, hey, you own an AOS army, why don't you go play Warcry, instead of the reverse of like, let's solidify Warcry, really work at the missions. The last, like I said, Tome of Champions really hammered home. It got, I think, all the missions on point because it extended how many turns a game is, which is the key thing that was really tripping people up, I think. But yeah, for some reason they don't push it that way. I was like, why? It's the best. Greetings from Israel. Love catching you live. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Man, you're around the world. We're watching this thing live. I intend to. I like Vince's idea that it will be that Seraphon versus Eater of Tomes space battle that happened in Broken Realms. Oh, like having that as a sub game? That'd be cool. Oh, here we go.
Here by Eddie Eccles, and it is our pleasure to welcome you today.
Let me know if the audio needs balancing.
Of Warhammer Fest 2021 online. We're looking at boxed games today. Is that right, Eddie?
That is absolutely right, Adam. We've got some exciting stuff to show the people at home today. You and me, obviously, have got a little bit of an inkling about what's to come, but some cool, exciting stuff, a good mix of different games to have a look at. And yeah, here we are, just over halfway through Warhammer Fest, and it's been a lot of fun so far. We've already seen some very cool stuff. I think yesterday was a particular highlight for many so far, as we saw the new Gaunt's Ghosts, but we've also seen cool stuff for Warhammer 40,000 with a new High Lord of Terror, and we've seen some new stuff for Warhammer Age of Sigmar as well with Kragnos. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think generally the buzz seems pretty strong.
Uber Down Hobbies, give me hot takes.
Stretched Warhammer Fest across
we'll see.
4 days.
So far, my only hot take was the app they tried to do on AOS Day, where I was like,
by the way,
no.
Warhammer Fest, normally there'd be a bunch of seminars throughout the day where a few hundred people would squeeze into a room, and we'd have the folks from the Warhammer Studios come and tell you all about the things that they've been working on.
You guys remember that in the before time, when a few hundred people would squeeze into a room?
Upcoming releases. But with a global pandemic and squeezing people into a room not being top of the billing right now, we've brought it online to share it with all of you. And as I have a quick look at the Twitch stream to my left, I can see that there are 16,000 of you so far. So thank you one and all for coming and joining us. And hopefully there'll be something throughout the next half an hour to 45 minutes that you will find enjoyable along the way. while I'm welcoming you, my favorite. Some people have already started doing it. I love
They
it.
know.
My
they're wise
favorite
to
thing
games,
is
Adam.
where are you from? And the first one I saw was Durban, South Africa.
Okay, I'm
Well,
going to be
there
honest
we
with you guys. I'm
go.
going to turn
Hit us.
him
Tell us
down
where you're from.
because, unlike Adam Troke, I don't care where people on Twitch stream are from. I care where you guys are from. We just had a shout out from Israel, which is crazy. But it's like, you know, your Games Workshop. Everyone around the world loves you.
Edmonton, Alberta, Indiana, Sweden. Oh, it just flies by. It's so exciting to see all of you coming and joining us. As we go through today's presentation, I'll try and keep a weather eye on the chat, so that if a question about something we've shown you pops up, I'll do my best to maybe answer it if I can. But we've got a fair amount to go through. I get very excited, and obviously sometimes we just can't answer the specifics of the questions because we don't know the answers. Nonetheless, we will do our level best.
Okay. Doing their best.
No. So, what's the format of the day, Eddie?
Here we go.
Yeah, so the format will be familiar for anybody who's been tuning in over the past 3 days. We've got myself and Adam, who's basically our job is to just be really excited at you about Warhammer, which we live in a constant state of near perpetual Warhammer excitement. It's just the only difference really is we're being broadcast live. But we also have a series of videos to show you, a series of some images as well to show you, which basically all give you some hints and teasers and previews of some upcoming new exciting Warhammer things, and then we'll get excited, you'll get excited, we'll jumping high five, and then we'll see you tomorrow. That's pretty much how it rolls.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning we're not just a two-man band. Behind the scenes, we've got Raf, who's making sure that all the slides and everything go right, and he's going to play some pretty awesome videos. And a big thanks to our moderators.
Sorry guys, I have to keep
helping make
adjusting
sure
the
chat
frame rate here on the Twitch
smoothly.
stream just because it looks like my internet's having
welcome
trouble
everybody.
keeping
I've
up.
introduced us. Should we get on to the first of our reveal videos, Eddie?
I don't see why not.
Right, Raf, hit it.
Okay, here we go. Tell me something good. Oh, hey, this is a good start. Okay. We got some fishies. Oh, we got some sweet looking Lumineth. Oh, what the frick? That's a crab dog. I like him. Guidance surface. Health on the ill-fated. I like it. Furion. Tamael. Ooh, that's a sweet spear. Dude, I want a whole army of those guys. I want the crabs. Hashtag I want crabs. Not a thing that should circulate online, but I love the sword claw. Ooh. They look at their cards and see that they go glorified on the second round just as the tides roll in. I love it.
I have never seen the word crab in the chat so many times in my life. Eddie, I know you are super hyped about these. Tell us what we just beheld.
So this is the brand new Warhammer Underworlds warband for the Idoneth Deepkin. So the Idoneth are pretty much my army.
Yeah, I know. I wonder
for Warhammer
if,
Age of Sigmar. So I'm
if that crab gets 10 kills, does he evolve into a Kingler? That's what I want to know.
Fans of Warhammer Underworlds will be aware that this is also the final warband in the current season of Warhammer Underworlds to be unveiled. We've got a few that are due out that we've shown already, but we haven't released yet. But this is the final one of the 8 for this season that's been revealed.
Okay.
But it's really cool looking warband. I think there's a really lovely mix of miniatures in there. I think Warhammer obviously has a lot of different things in it already, but the one thing it didn't have
crabs at Warhammer Fest
was, a massive crab.
Yes, Magic Carp.
That as well. So
oh man, can we please paint these like that?
Now, thanks to the inclusion of a massive crab in the
it's a veritable menagerie with these guys. You've got the giant crab, you've got a flying fish essentially.
Okay,
and
I'm gonna turn them down just a smidge to give my hot takes. For me personally, I love warbands where there is non-character pieces. Like in this case, it's the crab and the fish. Obviously, it's the same thing for the Molog's Mob one, because they feel more expendable, and so I can ask more of my characters. I don't feel as bad about giving them upgrades and underworlds, that kind of stuff. When it comes to the models for the actual Idoneth, every single one of them looks great. We have on the left here that power pose with the sword and the shield, like she just punched somebody in the throat with the shield and she's about to hack into him. For our main guy in the center, I'm not sure what role he's supposed to be, but the actual fishnet and the eel are just awesome. I hope that there's abilities to use that net to be able to pin enemies down, kind of a thing. And then on the far right, I said this when the Warcry set came out, where they have the Untamed Beast guys with the huge javelin with a rope. It's the coolest thing ever. Like, there has to be a ploy card for him where you like harpoon him, and I almost said an MF, motherfucker, and then you pull him towards you. Like, that would be so savage and cool.
I believe you. So generally, we see these warriors on the backs of either eels or leviathans or something like that. But this warrior is on foot, but accompanied.
I'm hungry for Red Lobster. Yeah, dude. And then those guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the crab was extremely tough, and so he could act as a good like tank. And the fish boy was a speedy one, like very light but speedy, where it gives you some playstyle where like you could have the tank pin enemy downs and then go capture objectives with Magikarp over there. MF Moist Flipper, yeah, stab a Moist Flipper. Yeah, looking for a harpoon effect. Maybe pull yourself to the target. Oh, that would be cool too. That would be really cool. Or I would even accept pinning them in place. Like if you get stabbed by the harpoon, you're pinned in place for a round. That could be devastating too. Wouldn't make much sense for pinning down a Nighthaunt, but you know what I mean. Kingler, use guillotine! And it's just like the crappy 8-bit Pokemon art of just a line. It's like, that's not a guillotine. What kind of 4Kids animation is this? Turn a guillotine into a straight line. Untamed Beast has a good harpoon guy. I agree. He's still my fave.
And if you're into the playstyles, it's a lot of control with quite high aggro percentage. So expect to basically
He just described him as a very control-focused warband with a lot of aggro potential.
Yeah, I think that's your classic sort of like elven take, isn't it? So you've got warriors, which are going to be very capable, as is pretty standard with any of your elven types. But you've also got some shenanigans thrown in the form of your accompanying sea creatures, and that's kind of how
maybe only against monsters.
Really nice
pinning down a unit of 30 would be weird.
They kind of work in micro.
Sorry, I was talking about pinning stuff down in the context of Underworlds. But yes, if you're talking their Age of Sigmar rules, that would be a bit weird.
Yeah.
Although the thematic effect of like skewering 5 Skaven into 1 would be pretty cool.
Warhammer Underworlds. And did you say, is that the 8th for...
That is the 8th and final warband of this season. So Warhammer Underworlds is in effectively like an...
It's all downhill after the crab reveal. I know.
Box, which is released, and then we have
I'm just imagining one of those like
6 accompanying warbands.
Those memes where it's like guys just want one thing, it's freaking disgusting. It's just like Warhammer's fans just want one thing, and it's just like pets. That's all we want. We just want like crabs and doggos and
Diachasm to its conclusion, and you can use this warband against
some
all
form
the
of
warbands
squig pet
previously, and it will also come with lots of cards for all of Warhammer Underworlds that other warbands can use. So if you want to play competitively, you just want to make sure you're collecting all of the warbands, or you just want to make sure you've got every card. It's worth picking up for that reason as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that was pretty exciting. But
just one more thing I just wanted to mention is I think people haven't really been able to see, but we are actually, for most of these days, wearing appropriate T-shirts, which have been provided by the Warhammer merchandising store. So I'm actually currently wearing my Idoneth T-shirt. I'm not sure you can tell though, because the camera cuts me off at the waist. But I just wanted to
Eddie, you get points for pimping the merch.
I was so excited to talk about box games today that I actually went and
but it was very shoehorned in, buddy.
Playing around on my desk all day, fighting out battle scenes.
I'd buy the heck out of a Warhammer Pets box. Right? Imagine if they put out a box like that, like they did for the skulls, where it's like 3 small sprues, but it's like a crab, a dog, a kangaroo, or something stupid. Oh.
Nicely.
Flawless segue there, Adam. I like that. It was good.
Raph, take us on to the next segment.
Here we go. Ooh. So we got some Necromunda. This must be the special troops for the Lack. Who are the spy, I don't know, secret-y faction. There's some cool stuff in there. I'm not sure that I'm particularly sold on Scorpion robot, but no, it's not a scorpion is what I'm trying to say. It's like a tendril. Yeah, it's Necromunda. Okay. I'll wait till they put the picture up, and I will.
Well, the House of Shadow. So, Adam Troke, you know your Necromunda very well. Tell us all about this latest addition to the Underhive.
Well, I think we're going into the deep dark secrets of Necromunda that perhaps even I am not overly familiar with. As you said, House of Shadow.
So here's my thought. First of all, these are astounding models. I think they're going to do some great conversions and stuff. My thing with Necromunda is, I liked when I got into it, and I was like. Really into Necromunda, which I still want to play Necromunda. I love Necromunda for the setting of like it's the most rundown and forgotten parts of the Imperium, but all of these like secondary boxes they've been adding to the gangs, which is great because they need to support them more. The technology just keeps going up and up and up and up, and so to the point where it's like, oh man, you used to just be like different flavors of garbage person who were just like fighting for scraps, and now I feel like it's like a technological arms race, and I don't know how I feel about that. It's a different feel, but the models are astounding, like for all of them. Robo Crab needed. Yeah, we're seriously, what's going on with this snake thing?
Book that we've done for Necromunda, they've got their new fighters. So these are the Psygazit with Psychomancer's harness, and then a Psygazit who is armed with I don't know the name.
Fornic miniatures. I love that the chat on Twitch is going crazy about Curse City. Oh yes,
I think that is
it's all anyone's asking about.
It's all hyphenated. Megadeth Snake Hoover.
And I jest, but there's something really deeply wrong at the heart of House Delac. Go on.
No, I think I was just going to say how much I love these models. I think one of the really nice things we've seen with the new plastics across the whole range for Necromunda is that we
have
familiar with
other
the
models in that set.
Gangs and
Somebody hit the space bar on the PowerPoint presentation.
But we're really now starting to see the weird, freaky stuff on the outskirts of these gangs, and I think Delac have come out of the gates.
All the extra tech added, I become more pessimistic about seeing rat skins.
To come out of the Underhive,
I mean they were like the ultimate.
Really cool. I mean, so they've got the
peasant class, I suppose. I don't know.
Look of the Delac,
the dirtiest of the dirt people.
See, the long trench coats, the
no tech,
sort of pallid complexions, the bald heads, but. These,
what was up with Curse City? Oh, it's just the debacle of
to them more than just biomechanically. There's a psychic
pimped it up so much and then stopped selling it with no support further and that kind of stuff. It's just people upset.
And brokering information.
That's all.
They're actually
same
doing
stuff, different
more
day.
than
It's
just on
Warhammer.
a technological or
people
a
upset.
physical level. There's a really worrying undertone to what we're learning about Delac here. If Raph hits the next slide, you can see more of the things.
Yeah, that's the guy I wanted to see, the Night Ghoul. I like that one on the top left. That is just a menacing pose. He looks like the Lich from War Machine and Hordes.
The big sword is a shiver
I love like
blade.
the encasement of his body plate.
Weapon. And with the Delac's ability to get close to you without you ever knowing they're there, these are really troublesome if you're not equipped for close combat.
They're cool, but the normal Delac gang has this dark city gentleman vibe.
Delac have been one of those gangs traditionally.
I can see that.
Favored perhaps some.
It's interesting that they went with a brown cloak rather than like usually they're all in black.
These add a really
and white.
nice element. I mean, obviously every gang in Necromunda has close combat weapons and they can all compete up close. But Delac have never really been famed for their kind of close combat.
Question: do you think it would be a major mistake if they go the entire week without addressing Curse City?
Sort of subterfuge angle, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And again,
do I think they'll address it? No. Do I think that's a dumb idea?
What even is that, Adam? What are we looking at?
I don't know if I expect them to. You know what I mean?
Worm. Whatever the Death Hoover worm or whatever I called it might not have been the technical term.
Because it's the kind of question that people would ask if this was a live event.
Perhaps more disturbing than that. That is a brilliant little thing. The Piscean Spectre is. So the Imperium doesn't have artificial intelligence. It's completely forbidden. But what they often do is they slave to equipment sentiences. So that's how servo skulls happen. That's how things like amble servitors happen. This is an alien creature which has been harnessed and essentially melded with some extremely arcane and high level of technology.
You can't be putting aliens in robots. Got to put humans in there. Make it a servitor.
And Andy Hall was talking and explained that it finds its origins in an obscure passage in the Rogue Trader rules manual of my youth.
That's cool. That's a cool little callback.
I quite like that about the team that work on Necromunda.
It's a good idea if they got
deep diving into 40K
good news, but I bet they wouldn't have good news. Yeah, really that's probably fair. I don't think that would address
sort
it.
of esoteric things to bring into Necromunda. Somebody in the chat has called it a techno death fish brain monster.
Spectre doesn't seem to
That's a
fit
good
in
name
the
too.
30K
These are all great
property.
names.
Kind of looks like
Well,
a Magic
that
the
you and I
Gathering
didn't
card.
name it,
I could
'cause,
see that.
we'd have come up with some rad names that perhaps wouldn't have had the gravitas of Piscean Spectre. I think what we've got here, right, is just a continuation of this amazing theme that's happened with these House of books. House of Iron, House of Chains, House of Blades, and so on. They've really delved into
This sounds heretical to me.
enormous
Yeah, I mean,
subculture that
with
exists
every
within Necromunda.
thing that they've
Necromunda,
released more and more about
the
what's
face of it,
going
is
on
a
in
planet which is
Necromunda,
a
it's like this planet
massive
just needs to
arms
be wiped
producer
out.
for the imperial machine. It pays huge dividends in tithes and soldiers to the Astra Militarum. But within these vast,
I think if they
hives
addressed
that are
Curse
there,
City,
there
whatever
is
they said wouldn't be
literally
good enough for
constant
people who are
warfare.
upset. That's a fantastic
And I
point,
do
Doug.
mean
I mean,
warfare
yeah, even if
for
they laid it out and
sort
were
of
just like,
control of
here's the
its
legal
industry,
problems we're
its
having,
finances, commerce,
why we had to dig it
and
down,
those
people would
wars
be
are
like,
fought out by the soldiers of
actually,
these clan houses. And so it's just exciting to see House of Shadow
my
appear
buddy who works
and
at a
give
7-Eleven also
even
is studying a
more
law
depth
degree, and he
into,
says that, you know what I mean, then just
sort of
rebuttal.
the,
You're just like, okay,
the
whatever.
culture, the mythos that exists in this place. I'm super hyped. I love it.
Yeah, I think what's really nice about Necromunda as a setting entirely is that it is just
But the
a tiny
Underhive
part
has some
of this
amazing
massive,
punk bands.
universe that is Warhammer
Judging by the
40,000.
art from the
Just
old
by
school
diving into this
Necromunda,
one
like
little
back in the
part of it,
day,
you get a sense of
yeah.
how broad and how rich the entirety of the Warhammer 40,000 setting is. So if you imagine all of this is just happening within a single hive on a single planet.
I don't know where the
within-
Necromunda
on one world in the
players
Imperium.
hang out, but
Imagine
I
how
don't
rich and broad
ever
the
seem to see
entirety
much
of
talk or
the Warhammer
fan-based
40,000
creation
universe is.
content.
And all
Oh,
of a
dude,
sudden,
there's a
as someone
mountain.
who's,
They actually
kind
have
of,
the best
inspired to collect or
fan-based
game
support
or,
community ever.
create
There's whole websites for building your gang and tracking your city's progress that they've made. It's out there, dude. Like, for real. Like, the people who love
It is really
Necromunda,
inspiring. So, like,
it's their
the
world.
universe is so vast and huge that even within this tiny little, what is a tiny spire, but is
Goobertown. Nah,
miles
I'm not
wide and
okay with
huge,
being
is
ghosted by
sprawling
GW on
metropolis.
Curse City
You've
issue.
got
That's
this
a
breadth of
wonderful
weird
hot take
things.
from you, my friend.
Imagine how weird every different.
I gave them
dark corner of
60,000
the
views that
Imperium
became a
possibly
part of a really
Yeah,
sour
absolutely.
PR
And the other thing to
disaster.
just add on that is that
Respect the hell out of that.
the
Honestly,
hive in which all this takes place on Necromunda.
I'm the same way. You know, I made
it's
content
called a
for
hive
them. I was
city,
going to do
but it has a
live games where
population
we were
bigger
hanging
than
out and playing with people,
entire
and now it's like
continents on
anytime
Earth
that is
today.
mentioned, there's a
Tens
sour taste, and it
of
just kind
billions
of
people
shot my
stacked
planes in the
deep
foot.
and high, and sandwiched in the most horrendous conditions. It's rich
I'm going to
fodder.
turn them down a little bit. I actually got an Instagram message from someone today. Was like, don't be like GW. Don't say that you're going to do, you know, this Underworld or play Curse City and then not do it. I was like, dude, they didn't support the game. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, we got some more here. Hired gun. Oh, that's right. They're making a video game for Necromunda. Got a pretty cool shooter look to it. They're not showing off really anything else but gunplay. I feel like there needs to be more mechanics, but I'm sure they're there.
Cool. So that is a little bit of an exclusive look at an upcoming
was it? That was 8 seconds of a
Necromunda-based
game?
computer game. We've seen the computer game before, but this is a brand new little snippet teaser about the stub cannon. Do you
Man,
want to tell
that's
us
not
more about
even...
that, Adam?
Well,
I can't even consider that foreplay. I'm going to turn them down because I could not care less. That was a weak preview. From the stills that we saw, it did not look very cramped. Like, Necromunda, the Underhive should be like super cramped and like foreboding. It just, I mean, it looked like a Halo level. Yeah. Only Roke. Choose this or the AOS Chibi mobile game. I have to go with this. If that's our perspective, that's totally fine. I'm really skeptical of Hired Gun. They do so much cuts for the trailers. Yeah, it's a lot of jump cuts. Except for maybe Total War Warhammer. I feel like Warhammer PC products have been really hit or miss. I'd agree with that. I mean, I think they're just hit or miss in general. It's just that Total War is a hit. Underworlds is a fantastic reimagining, but it's literally taking the tabletop game and digitizing it, right? So it's not adding something in terms of a unique PC game experience. I'd agree with that. It's hit or miss. But when it's a hit, it like defines a generation of content media.
So yeah, we just thought since we were talking about Necromunda, we'd show you that because it was quite exciting, and I for one am hyped about the release. Somebody asked the question, I saw it fly by. were those models that we showed you plastic? Yeah, that's a multi-part plastic kit.
Vermintide is great too. Yep, Vermintide is fantastic. Space Marine was a great way to introduce people, as well as Dawn of War, obviously back in the day. Chaos Bane, yeah, I've heard great things. Oh, here we go. Most requested plastic miniature of all time. If you're trolling me, you're gonna get some angry comments. You're putting a Thunderhawk in Aeronautica. Oh, dude, people are gonna be so freaking pissed.
Dive, dive! Pew, pew.
I can hear the nerd rage. Holy crap! Oh my god. Plastic Yetis, yes, the most requested plastic model of all time. I'm over here like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, I hear the sound of 1,000 nerds yeeting out in horror, and then are suddenly silenced by a banhammer on Twitch. Oh man, they're not helping themselves at all. Oh. It's cool looking. It is cool looking. I'm not going to argue. After this, I am going to go check out Imperialis, or Aeronautica, sorry, on Steam, because I want to know the game. But they keep teasing stuff that people legitimately want. And you're just like, here's what you want, but not the way you want it. And you're just like, son of a gun. And Sam is correct. Literally, if we're going by literal stuff, now that Sisters of Battle is out, the most requested thing is Aspect Warriors, a multi-kit for Aspect Warriors. Thank you, Sam. You're our official 2+ Tough GW 40k correspondent. Well, that'll be great news for both players of Aeronautica Imperialis. All two of you. Oh, man. This is reaching Blizzard Diablo Immortal levels of bad. Well, here's the thing. If I felt like this was like a mainstay game that they were really supporting and I saw people playing it, I would be over the moon. But Aeronautica just doesn't... They don't talk about it a lot, you know? I don't know. Squidmar probably just had the craziest 2 minutes. Goovertown, do you guys not have phones? That was my favorite. My buddy made that his alert for his ring, like whenever he got a text. You know, I like that the advertisement was like the most requested model. It's a Thunderhawk, and then they immediately went to a picture of anything but a Thunderhawk. Don't let them see the miniature version of it. Any fantasy-related announcements? They did the Idoneth Deepkin Underworld's Warband. That looks amazing. Legitimately, like... We've had some hot takes for the last few things they've previewed, but that was a legitimately cool set of models. I'm just waiting for them to release sculpts for the Chaos Gods as promotional chibis for the... Yes, like a little chibi corn. I would absolutely buy that. I'm not gonna lie. I am guilty. Problem is how long GW will support something like Aeronautica. Why bother investing? Well, that's honestly... You know, that's my problem. Where it's like, at least with Warcry, if they were like, hey guys, we're just not gonna mention it anymore. I'm like, okay, well, at the very minimum, I have some cool models that can work in my Slaves to Darkness Warband. But when it comes to like buying like Aeronautica vehicles... What do you do with them besides Aeronautica? You know what I mean? Unless they brought them into Titanicus somehow. Also, if I buy the Aeronautica Thunderhawk, can I use it in 40k? If you're playing against me, absolutely. I'll let you have it. Anyone... there we go. There's my proclamation. Anyone who plays a game against me, you can use Aeronautica ships in 40k. There we go. You can always still play the game after it stops support. It's true, but it's hard to get people in, you know? That's all I'm saying. Kill Team was the most disappointing ghosting to me.
comes in this box, Wrath of Angels.
I've heard that before, for sure.
Boom. No, it's all right. And I think
Okay.
Salamanders make sense. The narrative of this is they're going to be fighting over a fiery planet. I'm quite excited to get a new map
So-
for my Aeronautica games.
Okay,
Continue
so
my
I'm
collection
curious,
further.
is this a
But here
new
you can see,
two-player
essentially this
starter
contains
set?
everything you would need to start playing Aeronautica
Okay.
Imperialis. You've got squadrons for your Space Marines, you've got squadrons for your Eldari, and it really does offer just a game in a box. And then it's completely compatible with the 2 previous iterations that have come out, and will be supported with some extra goodies from.
I'm not gonna lie,
the
I'm into
specialist
that as far as a
team.
product
The first of which
goes.
is obviously the extremely desirable Thunderhawk gunship. Yeah, we had
You
a bit
guys
of
are
fun
gonna get-
and a bit of a tease, but actually,
You
this
guys
is
are
a
going to get
work
murdered
of art
online.
on
I'm
behalf of the
sorry.
team
I
who
can't help you. GW,
essentially
you've done
hit
this
it
to
with a shrink
yourself.
ray and produced the Thunderhawk.
I'm so
gunship.
glad
You
they
ever,
invented
you
the
ever
shrink
just
ray. They've been
like
getting some good
see
work out
someone
of
you
it.
love start
I
a
mean, it's just
conversation the wrong
fantastic.
way? Like,
I plan to
you
get
know,
one, paint it in Dark Angel
they
colours,
mean one
and
thing, but
really
what they're
just
saying
like
is totally
the
wrong, and you're
colours,
just cringing on the
they've got
inside, be like,
reinforcements
"Oh, you're
all the way.
dying out there,
I think
buddy."
it's just one of those miniatures.
Oh,
that people
you're
are
not
gonna
this.
want to
No,
own, even
no,
if they're
no,
maybe
no,
not going to play
no,
Aeronautica
no.
Imperialis. It's just a
That's
really
what's
nice
happening
kit
to me
see.
right now. I'm
Anybody
just
who's
like,
built up any of the
I don't even
Aeronautica
wanna-
flyers
let's
so
take a
far, or
peek
any
at
of
the chat,
Adeptus
their Twitch
Titanicus
chat.
miniatures, they are just joyous kits to put together. The level of
A
detail
lot
is
of
really
mentioning
cool.
of
I
Curse
think I find myself
City.
building
I
them and
can't
then
wait
kind
to
of going,
play
"Ooh,
with the
that's really cool,"
5
and
other
looking
people who
closely
play in
at
the
all
world.
screws and stuff. But obviously, in your game as well, the Thunderhawk gunship
Now
is,
make it
renowned
bigger.
across the
Yep. No,
Imperium
I'm going to
for
go ahead and
being,
minimize this because
an absolute bruiser of a combat aircraft. Perhaps not to the same level of some of its Horus Heresy predecessors, but certainly in the kind of
hot take. They're going to release real
tech-starved
plastic
future of the
Thunderhawk
41st
today.
millennium. It's
Hey,
the
you know
Lord of the
what?
Skies, pretty much.
If they did,
Yeah, I mean,
that would be the greatest.
The real role of this is that it is designed to disgorge.
That would be the greatest trick ever if they did. I would be super
light
happy.
fighting vehicles onto the battlefield to take objectives, and so this is going to be perfect for the Aeronautica. If you've never played, is very mission oriented. And so some of the missions require you to either bomb installations or
giant
to
enemy
get
crap.
transport
Yeah,
to
I
a
mean,
particular area. And so this is going to
they
be
think
perfect
we
for those,
wanted
as
a
well as
miniature
as Andy points
Thunderhawk
out, it's gonna be able
gunship.
to
What
hold
we
the
really
same
wanted is
size
a
of
miniature
guns,
crab and a
laser
giant
rockets. It has probably the biggest gun
gunhawk,
in
whatever it's called,
Aeronautica,
gunship.
mounted on its dorsal spine.
Can someone explain to me
so I
why
think there's
this
gonna be a lot to enjoy.
TH isn't
It's gonna
good
be
for
a lot of points,
GW?
though, I reckon we're talking sort
What
of
did the
probably
fans
super
want?
mega bomber sort of level of.
Oh, they wanted a
madness.
full size one. So right
Ooh,
now,
I'm
what's-
saying,
what-
too
I don't even know
much,
if they still make it, but Forge World is the only place to get a
I
full size
think,
Thunderhawk
haha,
gunship.
It's
So
really
it's-
nice.
it's
It's really nice.
great
to see so
for
many
Aeronautica
factions now in
players,
Aeronautica Imperialis. It's really starting.
Which seems to be a rather small community, but people are complaining because what folks have wanted desperately is a full-sized plastic kit of the Thunderhawk.
Of
So that's the
factions. So if
explanation.
you've got a little
It's a
campaign
cool
or a league
model.
or something, and
This
you've
is a
got
cool
4 or
model.
5
It's just not what
friends,
people
You
wanted.
can all have a very different faction and have a very fulfilling
they still make it. Okay,
campaign
cool.
or a weekend of gaming.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
I've had quite a lot of fun using my Imperial.
I'm going to look up how much the
squadron
actual
so far.
Thunderhawk
I think
costs.
the thing that I really would like to add to it is some Space Marines. So this absolutely floats my boat. Right. So
It's $735
we've covered-
US
I'm
for
just checking
the
my show
Forge
notes.
World Thunderhawk
Underworld's
gunship.
Warband,
So
House
yes,
of
people
Shadows,
were hoping for
Aeronautica.
a
So what might
cheaper
be nice would
plastic
be to
kit.
get some specialist insight on some of those things that we've talked about. From
This is a tease in the worst way
Specialist Studio.
possible. Yes, it is.
Andy Hoare, who is sort of the Lord of the Underhive, as it were, made himself available for an interview with us, and we'll play that for you just about now.
Okay, here we go.
House Delac are one of the 6 clan houses of Necromunda. The clan houses are the great
Hive
powerhouses of Necromunda. They produce weapons for the Astra Militarum. They produce raw goods, materials, tools, which are shipped across the entire galaxy. But they also each make something or provide some service that's unique to them. And in the case of House Delac, what they deal in is information, subterfuge, espionage, surveillance. They're the spy masters of Necromunda. So whenever any clan house or the ruling houses of Necromunda need something, they need information, they need someone vanished, they need an assassination, they need the dirt on arrival, it's always House Delac that they go to. And the House of Books are these ultimate tomes of lore for that house. We're focusing in, zooming in on the real crunch of each of the houses. So give you more information as a player to inspire you, really make it feel like you're living in this world, that you're familiar with it. We're never going to tell everything because obviously we
this
always
the guy
want
that
people
tells
to be
us
able to
about
have
Curse
space
City?
to make up their own
I
stuff.
love
That's
Spicy
really
Goober Town.
important about Necromunda, but we're giving them enough of a framework, enough information that they feel they know the definitive answers about their house, and then they can expand it however they wish. With the House of Shadow specifically, we're looking at adding an extra fighter type. In particular, we've expanded the idea of them using like a sort of collective gestalt psychic field, if you like. It's when they gather information about their enemies, they're not just spying on them, they're not just listening in on them, they're actually using some other method that maybe the rest of
that's
the
a cool
society around
idea.
them isn't fully aware of. They haven't quite tuned into what the Delac are up to. So we go some depth into that in order to sort of describe what's going on. One of the important things with House Delac that we've tried to do is maintain some degree of mystery. I think if you're really into the lore of House Delac, you'll probably work out which of the possible truths is the real truth. But to a casual observer, you're confronted with shadows and lies and rumours, and that's how it should be with House Delac. The miniatures in the new box set represent several strands, if you like, of what Delac do.
First of all, he seems
fighty ones. There's the guys
like
that are
like the musician Sting aged more gracefully, and he's the perfect person to take over Necromunda.
Living battle engine, if you like.
He looks like he was like the dominant punk scene
is the Piscean Spectre
in the UK,
which is a great
and I
big
love it.
construct.
He's a cool dude.
That appears to be made out of some sort of fishy alien brain captured in this sort of biomechanical horror, and that's pretty much what it is to wrap it all up. And that's very much the theme that we've got going on with these guys. So yeah, it's great.
He's referring to
the
the
brings Space
box set that was
Marines into the
previewed
game,
earlier,
which is of course one of the most iconic factions, and also Eldari, two completely different factions that play in completely
I'll get to you in a
different ways.
second.
You've got the tough, resolute Space Marines who are well known for having very strong armour, lots of sort of short to medium range firepower, and then you've got the Eldari who it's always going to be fast, it's always going to be difficult to hit, it's always going to have really impressive firepower, and pitting those two against each other, introducing them into the Aeronautica Imperialis setting and game really makes it a complete game. Biggest challenge was getting the Eldari right in terms of how they play. That elf archetype, as we think of it, as no matter what game you introduce it to, is always an opportunity to completely ruin your game. It just is.
Yeah.
Because they are always a really tricky balance of speed, firepower, manoeuvrability, armour, accuracy, close combat ability, if you like, depending on what type of game it is. And so we
that was definitely in the Bauhaus.
thought actually into balancing the Eldari, getting those numbers exactly right, getting the manoeuvrability right in Aeronautica Imperialis was spot on, because that's really what the game is all about. It's about those ace manoeuvres that you can do. We gave them a rule that makes them harder to hit at long range, slightly harder to hit at medium range, and then no different at short range, encouraging you to try and get stuck in with them. If you're facing against Eldari, you definitely want to close in on them. But that's not actually a very easy thing to do, of course, because they're highly manoeuvrable. They're going to try and slip the knots, if you like, and that's the challenge with them.
So you got to outthink them. I like that. That's a great design
that they
idea.
are fun to play against as well as with. The core Wrath of Angels box is very much aimed at the two factions that come in it. In the same way, all of these the boxes that we've done for each of the factions are very much a sort of the go-to place for those two factions.
Okay.
Each of those factions will get more models in the future, more possibly through Forge World. We've already expanded the Orc and the Tau range, and we've added some other ones for the Imperial Navy and resin as well. So we'll definitely keep on doing that.
I gotta say, I like the interviews they do. Like
That was
they
Andy
seem
Hall,
very
the
competent and very
High Lord
passionate about
of
what they're
Necromunda,
doing with some
and I guess
cool
the
ideas. I
Marshal
will say
of
that.
Aeronautica to boot, giving us the lowdown on those things. Thanks to him, and thanks to everybody who's stayed with us throughout this preview. That brings us pretty much to the end of our show today. What remains really is to thank
I'm gonna go ahead and
everybody for
close out
coming
of
along.
them, and we're gonna have our hot takes here on 2+ Tough. How about that? Let me just shut them up so they're not talking in my ear. Okay, so let's do some hashtag recap. First of all, they showed off the Idoneth Deepkin Underworld's Warband, which I liked. I mean, it was very cool. Plus bonus points for having a cool crab guy. I'm on board. It looks like it has a lot of different play styles and abilities, just based on what we see with the models, with the net being able to pin probably people down at Underworlds, the spear being able to harpoon them. I think it was just an absolute home run. It's what I think I myself included, and many folks we're hoping for when it comes to the Deepkin. So that's the first part of it. The second part was Necromunda, which was a bit strange. I mean, it's not strange that came out. Like the House of Shadows was what it was called. The Delac gang stuff makes perfect sense because Delac are coming out. They have a new Necromunda starter set that's Delac and Escher, and so those two will go together. So, I mean, they've been releasing those books for a while now, and that there's nothing weird about that. I didn't care for the models, all of them. Most of them I did. I didn't like the cyborg tentacle monster thing. The other ones I thought were pretty cool. They had the video game Hired Gun, which they showed about 0.8 seconds of, so that was underwhelming because they didn't show anything mechanically interesting. It was just a first-person shooter like it popped out of the 90s. I'm sure there's more going on with the game. Like, it looked like Wolfenstein 3D, but not as cool. I'm sure there's more going on. They just didn't want to reveal it yet, which is just then why have it in a reveal show. What else was there? Oh, yes, and the Thunderhawk. Honestly, they're going to get torn apart online with the Thunderhawk thing. That is not what people wanted. Yeah, that's it. That's it for the reveals. And then they had Andy Hoare come in and talk about the different design ideas behind those things. And I like hearing from the studios themselves because, yeah, I think that's important. Maybe stretching over 6 days wasn't the best idea. This is very thin, like butter spread over too much bread. Agreed. Because that's the thing. If you and I, right, if I responsibly, saved a seat for myself at a Warhammer preview at Nova, and Jack just slipped in because he wanted to be there, because he's a being of pure charisma and just does that. If we both were there and they showed all of this stuff, together, we would walk away going like, man, that's a lot of cool stuff. But because it's spread out, for those of you who didn't catch it, that's exactly what happened at Nova. I reserved my seat. Jack just kind of sauntered in. Anyway, so like all that stuff, it doesn't seem very good. Like the Underworlds thing was clearly the winner, but this didn't need a day to itself. Definitely forgot Aeronautica exists as a product line. So there's that. And we have Coopertown after all. Why shouldn't I? Should post about Curse City. Buddy, reach out to me. Like, I don't know what your favorite social media is. I'm on all of them, so I don't know. We should hang out and chat. We should do an interview. You're one of my favorite people online. Go check out Goobertown Hobbies. We can't all be Jack cool. Yeah, I know, right? Where's the Warcry stuff? There was none. There was no Warcry. There was no Titanicus, which is another one. Jack got in because of affirmative action. We need you to be standing tall in the back as we pan the camera so you can be like, it's not just white people. Joking. Jack is the token fan. That's so. For anyone, I'm not making fun of race relations. Me and Jack, we have our own sense of humor. Has Curse City become meme-worthy already? Or do we need... it's pretty much become a meme at this point. Thanks for hosting a live watch party. Hanging out here was worth the underwhelming reviews. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That's kind of why I did this live, because I was like, at the very least, we can hang out and chortle together. I will say this. Here's the thing, okay? I want to be very clear about this. If you like the stuff that came out today, first of all, the Deepkin, I think we can all agree, looked fantastic. But if you were super into the Necromunda stuff that they previewed and the Aeronautica stuff, I'm really happy for you. Like, the people who play those games, I'm so legitimately happy for you. It's the fact that it was built up to be something else. You know what I mean? Like when they show the Thunderhawk and then they zoom in and say that it's Aeronautica, it's not a slight on people who play Aeronautica and not saying that you don't deserve nice things. It's that Games Workshop played a dangerous game by presenting something as we wanted it and being like, actually, this is for like 1% of our, total retail people. So it's like, it doesn't help them. So I want to make that very clear that like I think the actual technical sculpting of the Thunderhawk for Aeronautica is a great model, period. It's just not what people were excited about, and certainly not what they alluded to. And they played into that excitement, where it's just like that's not helping you. Any thoughts on the fact that these live streams are the only way GW sees comments from fans? Comments turned off on YouTube. I mean, I don't have any thoughts about it. That's just how they operate, you know? It's tough, you know, because they are a publicly traded company. They do have a strong corporate feel to them, you know, in terms of how they talk with people and what kind of information, how the hobby is allowed to be presented, even by their own employees. It does have a very stern corporate feel. So the thing is you get a bunch of corporate people who look at data and they determine what people want, and it takes 3 years to produce, and then it's not what we want. Why? Because Warhammer fans can't really necessarily, you know, you can't calculate nostalgia into the same algorithms that you can for other things. So you can look at people like, oh yeah, people want a Thunderhawk. You completely miss the boat on the fact of what we want about a Thunderhawk, kind of a thing. Right? I personally don't want one. I was never in danger of buying a Thunderhawk, but you know what I mean. Where it's easy to get a bunch of corporate people who are too smart for their own good that don't understand why we love some of the things we love. So, recently got into Warhammer by watching your videos. I was able to understand the lore, became even more interested in the series. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad. This is not my normal kind of content where I just kind of, you know, Mystery Science Theater level poke fun at people. But hey, thank you for coming along for the ride. Thank you so much. Juice Abuse. That's a great name. Anyway, I'm going to go hop off here. Tyrannosaurus Rex asks, how many Carnosaurs is too many? What's the maximum you can run in the beast format where you can have behemoths and stuff? No one expected a 40k scale plastic Thunderhawk, but they desire the hell out of it. Expectations and what they want when you tease it are two different things. So anyway, friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the day. Let me know your thoughts in this down below, and I will catch you. What's tomorrow's theme? Let me just double check here. I think I'm going to try and go live, if not during the stream on Saturday, immediately afterwards, because I think I'm busy that morning. But let's see. I'm trying to find the where's the calendar that they had for like the different reveal days. Does someone know what tomorrow is supposed to be? 40k again tomorrow? I'm going to be watching it, and if something stands out as interesting to me, I'll flick on the camera afterwards, but I don't foresee that I have any reason to do that. So anyway, friends.